Hi guys, it's time to get started. I know there'll be some people still walking in afterwards, but I think it's okay. How are you? My name is Dex. Today I'll be talking a bit about how to navigate cross-border marketplaces. Um, I'm mic'd up like this, so if there's anything that you guys cannot hear me or anything like that, just let me know. Yeah, just give me a thumbs down whenever, and then I'll know. Good. So before introducing myself, just on this topic, for people who want to sell on marketplaces, want to sell on marketplaces globally, these are three challenges that we currently see, right? These are the factors where you can actually find success and how to work alongside that. So we'll be talking about these three topics. Where's the ICP, right? The ideal customer, where are they buying? How do I achieve consistent profitability, especially in these days, of course, very relevant topic, and the distribution strategy that would ensure your long-term success on marketplaces in that cross-border space. Okay? Good, good. Lovely. So my name is Dex. I'm actually working at ChannelEngine as the director of sales. Since 2019, this Saturday is my 4-year anniversary, just so you guys know. We'll help sellers to sell on different marketplaces by connecting them directly towards our software. That's what happens is a brand will connect their backend system to ChannelEngine, and it will actually list the products on all marketplaces globally. We have 700 in portfolio. We do a lot of like automations and rules and stuff, but I won't bore you with it. Of course, we'll be able to showcase a little bit more as well on the stand that we have right here. Cool. So that's it about me. A little bit about ChannelEngine. Like I said, there's 700 different marketplaces that we currently integrate with, meaning marketplaces in Southeast Asia and Australia and in Americas, but also here. We've been doing that for 10 years. Just as a bit of background, we are marketplace sellers, right? So our CEO and founder has sold on different marketplaces with 80 different brands for over 20 years and came across a lot of those, hiccups when it comes to scaling on marketplaces. Technical hiccups, having to talk to the tech team all the time if they want to make an adjustment, but also in listing new products in the right way with the right content at the right time. Right, so there's a couple of these challenges that he encountered selling those brands themselves. Then actually founded the company to solve that, to give power back to the commercial team. So they would be able to list the products, they would be able to see all the orders, do any stock adjustments, prices whatsoever. That's a bit of the background. We have offices globally, which means we have 24/7 support, but the dedicated customer success team is one where we help a lot in how to set up different kinds of things, how to work with the topics that I'll also discuss today. Cool. So, the first topic, and I know you're all dying to know this, where is my ideal customer buying? It's a bit of a broad question, of course, but we see that there's a big shift going from people starting their search on Google, for instance, the regular search platforms, and people starting their search on third-party marketplaces, right? So we have a combination of e-commerce sales that are rising because people are starting their journey on those e-commerce platforms, but as well, a lot of those platforms becoming more and more transactional. So we're talking about marketplaces in the old-fashioned sense with Amazon, with eBay, but also we have a lot of retailer-led marketplaces, right? We're talking about Debenhams or Boots or these kind of marketplaces that have actually gone from a retailer towards that marketplace model, also allowing you as a brand to directly take charge of that sales there. That's why you see a big shift as the market, for the market as a whole. And in the bottom as well, of course, how much of that e-commerce is captured by a third-party marketplace, like I just mentioned before. A lot of this is due to the direct-to-consumer opportunity, right? So we see that the customers are actually looking on these different platforms, and they also have a preference to start their search on online marketplaces. Because of that, there's two things happening. First, there's a lot of accessibility on that data, so you know where the consumers are, and you'll be able to actually sell to them directly. But there's also a bit of a crowdedness coming up because you have brands, you have distributors, and you have retailers all selling into that marketplace space, right? So it's not actually a matter of, I can be there, but if I'm not, my brand will not be found. it's actually your brand is most likely there. It's already being sold by a retailer. It's already being sold by a distributor. The only thing you need to do is take control. A large part of this, if my clicker works, is because of this entire plethora of different marketplaces popping up everywhere. We see as a bit of an epicenter of wild, wild marketplace growth here in Europe, right? So there's a lot of different marketplaces, a lot of different niches that are actually being explored, which gives a lot of opportunity. Because being in that space allows you to know language differences, currencies, VAT, shipping cross-border. And if you have that nailed in Europe, then you'll also be able to actually cross that border overseas way quicker, right? It's easier to sell towards America if you're already known and compliant with a lot of these different borders and a lot of different translations, for instance, and currency conversions, than when you would be starting all new. Good. So a lot of consumers, a lot of different platforms. So how do we make sure that the right products are at the right consumer, right? You actually have the products on the right platform. That's where your distribution strategy comes in. So we see that traditionally, people would look from the inside out when making decisions on where to sell products, right? So I have a strategic consideration. I feel that my product should go towards Germany. Possibility, just as an example. Because we have a distributor there that's doing well, that also we want to empower, because we have a web shop there that's already translated, these kind of considerations. Then after the strategy, looking at the commercials, how many people are actually there, what kind of target audience is there, what kind of GMV do I think I will do, what does it cost to sell, these kind of considerations. And then afterwards, can that marketplace actually be connected, right? So this is, from an inside-out perspective, it's that old way of looking at how do I want to make sure that I get towards this, towards this new region, towards this cross-border marketplace. What we see happening now is that the successful sellers have turned this around. So they're not looking from an inside-out, but from an outside-in perspective. Where is the consumer I want to reach? On what platform can I actually reach them? And then, how do I add a part of the assortment that fits that particular seller? Right, so we see a completely different type of buyer on Amazon than there is on Zalando, for instance. Completely different buyers are on Sephora versus ASOS. And you see this kind of differences. If you split it up, actually a part of your assortment works really well on one of those marketplaces where people might be buying more on this budget-friendly level. Some are more on a luxury side, so you need to differentiate your collection with those different types of marketplaces as well. This is just a bit of a rough outline of, for a successful seller what this would look like. But you see that they add a new part of the assortment recommended by the marketplace themselves, by us, or by research that they've done. Scale through advertising, so they are building up brand awareness, they're using sponsored brands or sponsored products, maybe even a brand story that they actually push. They decrease these unit costs to make sure that the profitability on a particular product is actually high enough to continue selling and investing in that region. And then they focus on the reviews and valuable feedback they get. I'll have an example on that last part later, but you will see that if products actually have those reviews, and there's some tricks, there's some partners that we have that can help you speed that process up, then you would see that the number of purchases, the conversion rate, everything is actually positively impacted by that. So it's an incredibly important piece. So it's just an example. Few of these examples are here, right? So we have clients, and these are just conversations I had with clients in the past month, saying, I sell on H&M because that's the target market that's ideal for kids wear. I'm normally always targeting, female clothing or whatever, but on the H&M market, I'm on that kids wear segment. So actually, people get acquainted with my products. And then later on, when they go to look at my brand name, they go to my own website, they will see the other types of products that I have. You see the same for, on the right side, selling multi-packs or basics on Amazon versus selling the more colorful prints and these kind of things on an Otto or a La Redoute, for instance. Right, so you have these different types of customers, different types of buyers there on these platforms. Just a few examples. Of course, there are hundreds to name. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. But a very important part is, okay, so now we have a product collection. We have split it up in different segments. We want to go towards different marketplaces. How the hell am I going to do that on scale? Right? There's a different consideration for all the different types of products you have. There are different requirements for different marketplaces on a content level, on an advertising level. It's completely different. But then we actually have a framework to select which products you would want to pay what kind of attention to. So we have the basic analyses where you say, okay, we use an 80-20 rule, for it, 80% of the revenue comes from 20% of the assortment. And we can even say there's a couple of products that we know, these are my fast movers. It's always going, selling out. I don't have to wait for the season to end to discount them. These are the top products. With that analysis, you can label them in this product group A. Right? And product group A would be, these are my top selling products, so I want to invest in content. I do A+ content, premium. I'll be able to, put some video material in there, like these kind of things. I'll have some examples in this as well. And then we see that the other products we have stacked in the product group B. So product group B, where we have products that are that have a slower turnover than the products in group A, but they're still very attractive, large part of the assortment that is making the difference for you, maybe in terms of profitability, for instance. In product group C, you will see a lot of the products in that long tail segment, right? You want to offer them, you have a lot of these products that are, maybe larger sizes, or you have colors that sell out, a bit slower, but they're still worth of selling. But then you would be able to fully automate that process for these products. This is when you get the difference, right? So there's these three different product groups. You can make 4 if you're very eager. You'll be able to actually split it up however you like. But you'll see that you can take this content approach where you could scale a large part of the assortment on that product group C, right? You would do it automatically. We can help with generating AI or translating these descriptions and titles. And you would also see that in a product group, the latest product group C, you would be able to create virtual bundles, which I'll tap into a little bit as well. A lot of these products in that first part mostly will be done by a professional agency, or if you have it in-house, the dedicated attention from your marketing team. Mostly outsourced, because then you see the great infographic, video materials. You get the real, the real vibe going. You get the brand story told. So you see that. So most of the time, your in-house marketeers will be spending will be on that product group B, actually. Automating whatever they can, but focusing on creating the right content, the right brand story for the large chunk of the products with a high profitability. I will skip through a few of these things, but achieving profitability is, of course, one of the main topics that everyone is thinking about right now. Very important point for achieving profitability is to understand what kind of costs you're making, but also how these costs have changed over the past years. So during COVID, of course, we all know, markets, sky high, blah, blah, blah. But the prices have also jumped in that same period for storage, for fulfillment. And we currently have a lot of that inventory that people estimated they would sell post-COVID in overstock right now. Because, to be honest, we don't sell the same kind of volumes anymore. There's a lot of these products, and you see it like with the biggest companies, right? There's no shame in that. But you see it with Adidas, with Nike as well, how much overstock they currently have because of what they've purchased during COVID, and after COVID, there was a bit of a dip. So these are the costs to take into consideration, as well as the consumers and their purchasing behavior that has changed a little bit, right? So they're looking more for that value for money kind of thing. We see marketplaces pop up like secret sales, on that kind of traction of making sure that the conscious buyer is actually satisfied. So what happens here, if we look at the real if we draw it out really, is that we have different types of approaches, different types of margins that are set on different sales prices. It's an incredibly important topic, right? Because we don't talk about direct-to-consumer because, we just like being, direct-to-consumer. It's about having control of what my product is actually, where my product is actually shown in what way, and achieving that profitability. And even though the margins actually seem roughly the same, it's incredibly important to note that on a wholesale level, on a B2B area, the margins are calculated on a B2B selling price. It's Completely different, because that's 60% of what a consumer would pay for that price if you're selling it direct to that consumer. A lot of people, if they're in a conversation, you know, with management and they have this kind of topics going back and forth, it will be wholesale is profitable, direct to consumer we need to invest in, let's just do wholesale. First thoughts. Then in that transition, this is what you should take into consideration, right? So we have a full sales price, we have a gross margin, therefore that is higher, and we have selling expenses that need to be deducted 100%, but in that bottom line, you will see that the profit overall is higher as a percentage because of that selling price. We can do a lot more analysis on this, but I just wanted to take it as a sneak peek. How do you protect your margins then? Well, first off, you make sure that you sell the right products on the right marketplace. I think that consumer-centric part is already clear. Be selective of that product selection. You know exactly what kind of products are the products with your highest margin. You know exactly what kind of assortment you would want to have at a fulfillment center. You would want to have at fulfillment by Amazon, for instance, but also the items you would want to keep in your own warehouse. Because if they stay there overnight, it's less expensive than if they keep, you know, staying at the Amazon warehouse, FBA, the entire time. If you need to do a pullback, right? So you have at the end of the season a lot of items left, for instance in the Zalando warehouse, and you actually need to retrieve them, I can guarantee you the season is over before you have the items back. So be selective of what you actually sell to that ship to that marketplace to have there in their warehouse. Minor tip in calculating profitability. Look at the difference between a first-time sale and a repeat purchase. A lot of people say after 2 months, Zalando is not profitable. Okay, why do you think it's not profitable? It's like, yeah, I did one sale, but the cost of that sale was super high. Okay, but they're, you know, repeat purchases, there are other things coming into consideration that if you look on a 3 or a 6 month period, you'll see that repeat buyers that cost a lot less to actually get them on board for a second or third time. How much time do I have left? A few minutes. This is, from our perspective, one of those best practices, right? So we have that product group C, if you still remember, where we have a lot of products that are in a long tail situation, or the profitability is lower, the average order price is lower. We have the option to create virtual bundles on that, right? Consider doing that for these products. What does it actually mean? It means that you will select different products, in this case, the ChannelEngine platform. You would be able to automatically generate titles, descriptions, the images like this, right? Where you get a multi-pack image. With that entire picture in mind, there's a new EAN or ASIN. It's sold to, or it's put on a marketplace as a new product. Zalando or Amazon just sees there's one multi-pack with 3 t-shirts, period. If it gets sold, we take that into consideration. We split that order into the recognizable items, you know, that you have in a warehouse, that you have in your PIM system, whatever. So you'll be able to do reconciliation and stuff. But still, it would give you a lot of that virtual scalability, right? Because you have the possibility to make all these different bundles, but you don't actually have to ask someone in the warehouse, go and wrap those items together. Because then you cannot sell them individually anymore, like these kind of things, right? There's a lot of things that pop up with this. So this is just 2 examples. An example of the t-shirts in different combinations. Again, these are not pre-packed. These are just separate t-shirts. Once it gets sold, someone in a warehouse gets a notification with, this is a bundle, throw it in the same box. It's very useful. But on the right-hand side, we see the same with candles. And this is actually a candle client of ours who did something super interesting. Of course, we know Mother's Day, Christmas, these kind of things. That's when candles are actually being sold. But the bundles, virtual bundles, were running so well in a gift package that it would have reviews that were coming up that said, okay, now I've actually purchased that bundle, but I'll have to unwrap all these different items, have to put them together, and then I have to wrap them again into a, mama-friendly gift box. That was a review. Multiple reviews came in. How do I gift this? How do I do this? That's actually when they started designing that as a real bundle with also the package immediately done. So a Mother's Day kind of present box. So you get this kind of input because you can make that in a virtual basis, scalable, et cetera, and you'll be able to actually, lean onto that. I think this is all clear, right? If you want the presentation, I have a QR code as well. Very important part, don't reinvent the wheel. Use the partners for it, fulfillment, agencies, like I said, automate wherever you can. Very important part here is look at putting yourself in a strength position where you are able to focus on the business, product development, these kind of things, and let the partners do what they do best. So just to round it up, 3 key takeaways. You find the right channel, you make sure that you do consumer-centric distribution, and you understand where your margins are and protect them. In the QR code, there is actually the presentation. You can download it immediately. We are at stand J71, and we still have a minute or two for some questions if you want. Thank you. Hands for questions. No? Great. You can still find me at the stand, right? Or anyone with the ChannelEngine t-shirts. They know exactly what they're talking about. Thank you, guys.